Yay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So we're going to begin in just a moment. I want to invite everybody to take their seats. Hopefully everyone's grabbed a prayer book on their way in. I'll do a more formal welcome in a moment, but I want to invite everybody to turn their attention to the screen as we join together in what has become a little bit of an anthem for us, though it's fitting because it is
Membership Shabbat.
Membership Shabbat, exactly. Lahalot ner tamid.
להעלות נר תמיד, להעלות נר תמיד, להעלות נר תמיד, נר תמיד.
Try it again.
להעלות נר תמיד, להעלות נר תמיד, להעלות נר תמיד, נר תמיד. לה לה לה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, יאללה יאללה יאללה. La la ya la 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 ya la 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 להעלות נר תמיד, 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 נר תמיד. La la la, join us. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la. ner tamid lehalot, ner tamid.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So before my formal welcome, as I do each week, just a few logistical announcements. The first is that hopefully everyone's grabbed a prayer book on their way in. If you need large print prayer books, they're right on the left. Hearing assisted devices are right in the office on the right. If you need bathrooms, you can find them outside to the right. Though all gender and handicap accessible bathrooms are through the office toward the back. There's a single stall right by my office. In addition, if you need anything else, it looks like Morty is our usher for this evening. I think he's pinch hitting. And so if you need anything, Morty can direct you in that general direction, help make sure that you have what you need. If tonight we need emergency exits, of course there's the exit we came in, but notice there's an exit here and a few exits in the back. And so you can head there should we need to leave swiftly. Finally, it's our job to make sure that every single person here feels that they belong, feels welcome. Make sure to introduce yourself to someone that you don't know toward the end of service. And in addition to that, if you see someone lost, don't be shy about leaning over and showing them where they are in the prayer book or on the page. And even if you don't know the words, sometimes humming along or clapping your hands is plenty. And so we're going to join next, page 24, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharetz, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, Boachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, Baruch Hu, Barechoni, Barechoni, Shalom, Malachei Baruch Hu. If you would like to clap, Tikkum Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashareh, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh, 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 Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
So it's amazing to be up on this bima tonight because only, 6 hours ago, 7 hours ago, the cantor and I were up here, but instead of being alone the way that we are up here with 3 classes of graduating 4s, of which my son Lev was one of those. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about it during my Devar Torah, in part because it actually dovetails perfectly with this week's Torah portion. But I couldn't help but realize that the passage of time is really fast. My 4-year-old will one day become 5, then 6. He'll become bar mitzvah. He's going to graduate from high school, leave the house, grow up. And everyone that I talk to talks about the fact that the days are long, but the years are short. And I don't necessarily take that for granted. And one of the ways that you mark time, at least in Judaism, is with the lighting of the candles. And I found that there's no way to really, truly slow down time. But if you can chunk time in such a way that you can really live in a moment, week to week, pausing each week, spending dedicated time each week, at least that does the trick to do the best that you can, at least to slow that time down. And so Shabbat allows us to do that. Shabbat allows the days to be long, but the years to feel just a little bit longer than they would otherwise. And that's a gift. And so we're going to light our candles and punctuate our time now. And speaking of sunrises and sunsets, we have a member of our congregation who is becoming bat mitzvah this week. And so I want to call Ariel up to be joined by her immediate family as she prepares to lead us in the candles and the wine.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own way, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives.
Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
We're on page 5.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen. Together.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav
ורצף בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת לחיים.
That's right. In Georgia, I learned that you say balomde. You throw it all back down. We'll talk more about that in 2 weeks. Well done.
We're going to move forward in our service. We're on page 20, Lecha Dodi.
La 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 lecha dodi la 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 ya la 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 לקראת כלה ya la 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 בני שבת בני שבת נקרא ya la 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 lecha דודי ya la la ya la 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 לקראת כלה ya la 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 בני שבת בני שבת נקרבנה שמור וזכור בדיבורך ישמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד שם ותפארת בלי תחילה יא לה יא לה 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 לך דודי יא לה יא לה יא לה 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 לקראת כלה יא לה 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 בני שבת בני שבת לקרבנה לקראת שבת לכוון אליך כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יא לילה יא לה 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 לך דודי יא לילה יא לה 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 לקראת כלה יא לה 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 בני שבת בני שבת לקרבנה.
Verse 5, Hitorari.
התעוררי כי באורך ומאורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה עלייך נגלה יא לילה יא לה 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 אחד דודי יא לילה יא לה 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 לקראת כלה יא לה לה בני שבת, בני שבת, נקרא
We rise together, facing the door.
בואי בשלום, עטרת בלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, יא לילה, יא לה 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 לה, לך דודי, לילה, יא לה 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 לה, לקראת כלה, יא לה לה לה, בני שבת, בני שבת נקווה, יא לה 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 לה, לך דודי, יא לילה, יא לה 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 לה, לקראת כלה, יא לה 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 לה, בני שבת, בני שבת נקווה.
We remain standing, page 28.
Together. ברכו את אדוני המבורך,
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
We're seated together. We're going to move forward in our prayer book now. We're on page 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch Ata Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. Page 32.
148, right? We're going to continue on the other pages.
We could do that
Okay,
too.
either one. They're both the same prayer. You choose.
All right. Page 148.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ונגה יומם בלילה, יומם בלילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמה
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך
ובישעריך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם
We move forward in our prayer book. We're on page 152 as we sing a song for freedom. Mi chamocha.
You know how this starts, ya ida 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 ya la la, ya ida 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 la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la ya la 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 ya. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי אנו ואמרו, זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. One more time, Anya, let's hear you. Ya idai, ya la la idai, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la la, ya la la. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מעט חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל.
We turn the page. Hashkivenu.
Nay 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 na 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 na. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום לשלום לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים לחיים לשלום 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 לשלום. נה 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 הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Bottom of page 154. Yismechu.
ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת מקדשי שבי שבת כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת יזכר למעשה בראשית שבת יזכר למעשה בראשית שבת ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת ישמחו במלאכותיך שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת.
We rise together. We're on page 155, and I'll invite you to pray silently after this opening meditation through page 167, and you can be seated when you're finished.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha.
Let all those prayers that are still yet to be breathed out to keep flowing. We join together when you're ready in this prayer of kavanah, of intention. Eyes to the screen. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadai, yai, yadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadadai. I must build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world, and if we build this world from love, then God will build, this world. We'll build this world from love. Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh.
Turn to page 253. As each time we gather together, we have this opportunity, and it is indeed an opportunity to pray for those in need of healing, of body, mind, of soul. And when I look around the room in a few moments, you can add the names of those that you might be adding this prayer for, and we'll also have a listing on the screen. Mishberak avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, Hu yivarech et hacholim. The one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. Misheberach avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mikor Abracha Leavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. So I want to think for a second about what the greatest gift, what the greatest revolution was that the Jewish religion, the Jewish faith gave to the world. And so many of you, I imagine, the thing that popped into your head was the idea of monotheism, right? Before Abraham, there was no idea that there could be a single God. There were multiple gods, there was idolatry, and Judaism's revolution potentially was making sure that we could consolidate the belief in the divine into one. But I would say actually that there's something even bigger than that in our tradition. For us, I actually think that the great gift of the Jewish community was a sense of history and a sense of time. Now, you may not realize this because this is so much woven in to the fabric of just how we live our lives. But if you look at all the mythology that existed around the time of the Torah, you look at the Enuma Elish from the Babylonians, you look at the Hittite literature, you look at the Assyrian literature, the Phoenician literature, what you find is that when they tend to tell their stories tend to be incredibly cyclical. A thing might happen to a character over and over and over again. Often the world even is, in some of these myths, created again and again and again. What does Judaism do? Judaism comes onto the scene and creates history. We have a timeline that doesn't circle, but rather that goes forward. God creates the world, and then the world is never created again. Then we are slaves in Egypt. And we have a fundamental thing in our past that we call on over and over again. If you want to know why the Bible tells you to be a good person, it's because we were once slaves in Egypt. If the Bible tells us to believe in God, it is because God took us out of Egypt with a strong hand and a mighty arm. The idea that you can never go back, that history is a thing that happened to you, and that the world is fundamentally different, fundamentally changed because of something in the past, is actually a revolutionary idea. Despite the fact that it feels so familiar to us, we can't imagine otherwise. But with a sense of history, not only comes the ethical lessons that I spoke about before, but also comes the beginning of nostalgia, the ability to look back on the past and feel pain, which is exactly what happens in this week's Torah portion. Now, before I get into the Torah portion, let's pause for a second and talk about what nostalgia actually means. Nostalgia comes from two Greek words. The first word means to return, and the second word means pain, the algia part. Think about like fibromyalgia, right? That word means to hurt, to be in pain, which means that what nostalgia actually is it's the pain that you feel knowing that you cannot go back in the past. It is the pain you feel understanding that there is no time machine for you. And that's the pain that the Israelites, in a way, feel in this week's Torah portion. Because although they're wandering in the desert, they come to Moses and begin to complain and say to Moses, look, God gave us this thing called manna to eat in the desert. And manna is gross. Manna is this puffy stuff that even according to Midrash, according to legend, yes, you could probably imagine that it would taste like something. And if you wanted it to taste like strawberries, it would taste like strawberries, and bananas, it would taste like bananas. But even so, it's the same gook every day that you're eating. So they go to Moses and they say to Moses, once upon a time, even when we were slaves in Egypt, we had the opportunity to eat leeks, to eat melons, to eat cucumbers. We wish that we could go back to Egypt. We are sick of the manna. It pains us to remember those good foods. Can we return? Now, Moses doesn't know what to do because obviously they've forgotten their history. Why would anybody want to return? And it turns out that Moses is able to summon up some meat. God shifts the winds and makes pigeons appear, and they're able to at least, have a little bit of something that's not manna. But that desire to return to the past is an incredibly powerful desire. It's something that colors the Israelites, and it's something that colors us today. Now, nostalgia comes in many forms, and like anything, it's a matter of degrees. Too little nostalgia, I don't think you're really honoring your past. Too much nostalgia, you actually get mired in what was, and you're not able to imagine a world that what could be. And we've seen nostalgia not work so well. The idea that when we look back on American history and we say that things were better back then, we're forgetting lots and lots of things that were not better back then. Things like slavery, things like women not being equal, things like two people not being able to marry those that they love, things like the Jim Crow laws. Nostalgia that is open-ended, nostalgia that is too deep, is hugely problematic. But nostalgia in the right dose is important because it's a sign that you actually cared about what was. You cared about what came before. And the Israelites, for all of their griping, partly look at the past because even as slaves, I have to imagine they were present in it. They didn't fully disassociate, which meant that even in their darkest hour, they took a bite of that melon, they took a bite of that cucumber, they ate a little bit of leek, and they enjoyed themselves for even that moment. Because in order to miss the past, you have to live fully in it. Now, I think you understand why I'm giving this sermon tonight. I feel like for anybody who stood in my place this morning and watched their 4-year-old or 5-year-old graduate from preschool, it brought up a lot of nostalgic feelings for me. And I remembered him as a baby. I remembered him at the beginning of the pandemic. I remembered bringing him to school for the first time. And though, look, his life has not been the easiest, none of ours have been over these past years, having to worry about masking, having to navigate a world where there is a armed guard standing outside to keep him safe when someone chose to attack our congregation. I look at his past and seem, at least today, not to remember any of that stuff. For me, it's about just wanting to slow time down. It's wanting to return. And if I miss so much the stuff that has come before, I'm actually not going to be present in the stuff yet to come. Nostalgia comes with its risks. And today, as I was feeling sadness and pride, but sadness in watching my son grow up, I had to keep reminding myself to watch him sing his songs up here, to get his diploma, to be with his friends. I know it's a preschool graduation. I get that. See it as a metaphor. To be with his friends. Because if I spent the whole time worrying and being sad and wanting to return to those early days, I never would have captured the beauty that was today. Now, you could live your life trying to avoid that pain, right? You can remember the past without having that feeling in your gut when you do. But the problem is that the reason that you feel pain about the past is that you allowed yourself to be vulnerable during that time to let in the feelings that you are going to miss. Now, Brené Brown, who is one of the more famous and probably my favorite of kind of the pop philosophers, she speaks about vulnerability in one of her TED Talks. She talks about the fact that when you actually ask people in polls, what are the things that make them the most vulnerable? It's not the things you expect. It's not losing the job, it's gaining the job. right? It's not having someone die, it's actually having a new baby. It's not losing a friendship, it's going deeper into a friendship. It's actually the positive stuff that makes people feel the most vulnerable. And the reason is because you have the most on the line when you open up your heart deepest. It's no surprise to anybody here that I love The Bachelor and The Bachelorette franchise. And part of the reason that I love it is actually because the people do allow themselves to fall in love. It's fast, but they open up their hearts. And what you find is that with 50 finalists at the beginning, the people who usually make it to the end are the couple people who allow themselves to be vulnerable enough that they begin to actually develop real feelings in that short show for the contestant. And the contestant begins to develop real feelings for them. Only when you make yourself vulnerable, only when you truly let the feelings in, only when you allow yourself to reach the precipice where someone can actually hurt you, are the feelings real enough. And so the deeper the nostalgia, the more vulnerability you probably felt at some point in your life, which means that nostalgia actually affirms the way that you want to live your life. Nostalgia is the inevitable price you pay for being present, for being vulnerable, for being open, for loving deeply. And so as much as nostalgia hurts, nostalgia is a check on yourself that you are fully embracing this complicated, messy, amazing, capable life that we are all living. And so as much as sometimes I want to look at the Israelites and shake my head at their misplaced nostalgia, I give them credit for feeling it in the first place. Our goal should be to live our life in such a way that sometimes it hurts to look back on the past. Because in doing so, it means the past mattered to you, which means that your life matters too. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn to page 282 as we rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoye haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who we have loved and who we've lost as we turn to page 294. And as I call the name of your loved one, I'll invite you to rise, honoring their memory and staying standing. This Shabbat, we recall the following individuals: Charles Ainge, Mike Aronson, Gussie Baker, Rebecca Beckerman, Zoe Gellen Brown, Samuel Carlin, Louis Dennerstein, Miriam Donison, Gertrude Elson, Alfred Epstein, Jeffrey Gellen, Ronald Guylin, Sidney Gussoff, Francis Guthman, Sam Hout, Anna Itindola, Bella Kalinkowitz, George Howard Karras, Thomas Karger, Elsa Karger, Helen Koch, Vicky Krebs, Sarah Lipkin, Bruce Mandel, Paula Mishkin, Rose Minichi, Seymour Portnoff, Hyman Potofsky, Sylvia Rubin, Max Saracen, Joyce Shepit, Eli Sklansky, Ann Spiegel, Paul Spitz, Florence Stein, Seal Wien, and Teresa Zwerling. In addition, for those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning, Erwin Natter, father of Merrill Natter, Shirley Greenfield, mother of George Greenfield, Larry Greenfield, uncle of Jim and Peter Axelrod. In addition, I'll invite you to rise and share the name of someone that you're thinking who might not have been on this yard site list or who you are observing a one-year period of mourning for. We join with those risen, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach yirteh v'yamlech malchuteh, v'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayet d'chol beit Yisrael, b'gala uv'yizman kari v'imru amen. Yesh shemei rabbah mevarach l'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtavach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitpalal shabbat kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram b'yama v'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba mid shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Please be seated. So a few announcements.
Indeed.
Yes.
June is busy.
It is busy.
Busy.
Tomorrow morning, of course, services, 10 a.m., Torah study, 8:30 before that, as we welcome Ariel to the Bima as Bat Mitzvah. Congratulations to her and her family. Following services, we're going to head next door to dinner. If you didn't RSVP for dinner, we have enough food for you, so come on by. As you do, make sure to meet someone new. If you see someone sitting alone, invite them to your table. There's always something a little bit scary about these dinners, that someone could walk away feeling like no one met them and no one talked to them. And so make a point to not let that happen here. Let's talk about next week.
Let's do it. Next Friday night, Pride Shabbat. Stonewall Chorale is coming to sing a whole program of Sondheim. As you know, Stephen Sondheim, the great and late Stephen Sondheim. Please come back and celebrate with us. There'll be dinner, there'll be champagne, there will be lots of beautiful music, and of course, a whole lot of pride celebrating diversity in our community for the LGBTQ+ and ally community. So that's next weekend.
And then go the week after.
And then I'm going the next weekend to the 23rd. Some of you may know, in fact, some of you are in this room who just came back. We went to Tbilisi, Georgia, the other side of the world, and we did some very powerful and important things while we were there and made some really very beautiful connections with humans and with peace. And we want to tell you a lot about it. So if you come back on June 23rd, we are going to show you gorgeous photographs. We had like professionals on our tour, just people with wonderful cameras, and tell you some of our reflections from people that were there, that lived it, that experienced it, and to help you continue the relationship with our sibling congregation in Tbilisi. So please come join us.
Of course, all right. Yeah. And finally, over the summer, our services are lay-led. In July and August, which means we still need a few more people, a few Torah readers, a few people to deliver sermons, Devar Torahs, I think a leader or two more. So if you want to be part of that, come talk to me, come talk to the cantor, come talk to Ronnie, and we would love to help you. Even if it's a little scary for you, let's say you've never chanted Torah before or never given a sermon before, that's what we're here to do. So
That's
we'll
right.
meet with you during the week to set you up for success on the weekend.
And imagine how nostalgic you could be if you do it this time in a few years from now, just letting you know.
Yes. So with that, we are going to conclude. We're
Page 321.
Adon Olam.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra letnasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra Adon Olam
יציר נברא, לעת עשה וכף כל אזי מלך, שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל, לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא הווה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפץ כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחסו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, מצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפץ כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי ואת אישון והעירה וברוכי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא, אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לעת נשא וחפץ כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. Join us in the motzi.
I know that we've got a lot of students here, though some are outside, but if you are a student, if you're a kid, come on forward. You're still a kid. You're still a kid till tomorrow.
Until tomorrow morning,
Yes.
Ariel. Until. All right, we need some
Here.
challah holders.
We need some
Ready?
people to hold the challah and help us lead.
Are we ready?
Wait, we still got some in the back. Come on.
Come
We'll wait
on
for you.
up.
We'll wait for
It's
you.
not too late. Get your hand on there. Ready?
Wait,
Come on,
We
Malachi.
got some little twins coming. Come on forward, guys.
There's room over here.
All right.
Ready?
Ready?
Come here, guys. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi
Lechem ben haaretz.
b'tei avon challah monster.
All right, you guys can
Shabbat
take some more
shalom.
challah. Go for it.
Who wants challah?
All right, meet someone.